Competition Bureau Canada presents Compliance Case Files, Episode 1, Bid Rigging, a Harmless Cup of Coffee. Bid rigging schemes take several forms. The story you are about to hear is a common example based on real events. These are not the real names of the companies involved. For the sales representatives of Island Crew and Sunny Maintenance, the day started as most days do in the high-pressure world of sales, with meetings, phone calls, and lots of coffee. On this day, the Island Crew sales rep called his counterpart at Sunny Maintenance. Calls between these two competitors are not wise. They operate in the same town and compete for many of the same contracts tendered by municipal departments. The Island Crew sales representative invites his counterpart to join him for a coffee so they can talk business and get to know each other better. Just a harmless cup of coffee between sales pros. They meet, and after several minutes of friendly chatter, the sales representative at Island Crew mentions how much time and effort he spends on competing for new business. Even worse, a sizable chunk of his time and effort goes into preparing bids for contracts the company doesn't win. He suggests the two of them figure out how they can reduce the time and effort they spend putting together bids and still win more than enough big contracts to thrive. Let's share information about upcoming bids, he says. Let's figure out which of our companies is the better fit on these bids. Then, let's prepare our respective bids so we can take turns being the designated successful bidder. We'll save time and effort, and we'll make more money and higher profits. What's not to like, says the sales representative at Sunny Maintenance. The two figure out the details of the arrangement. The two men stand up and shake hands, cementing their agreement. What has just taken place is a crime that could have serious consequences for the two men and their companies, including jail time for the men and hefty fines for the companies. A conversation that started over a harmless cup of coffee has turned into a bid rotation agreement that violates Canada's competition law. Bid rotation is a form of bid rigging. Bid rigging is business collusion, and collusion among competitors is a crime. Bid rotation occurs when two or more competitors agree to take turns presenting the most attractive bid. Other bid rigging practices are cover bidding, bid suppression or withdrawal, and market division. Cover bidding occurs when two or more bid riggers agree which one of them will submit a winning bid, and the others agree to submit bids at much higher prices. The companies give the impression of bidding competitively, but their actions are just a cover for their collusion. Bid suppression or withdrawal takes place when one or more bid rigger either abstains from making a bid or withdraws its bid after submitting it so that their competitor will win the contract. Market division takes place when two or more competitors agree not to compete for specific customers, or in certain geographic regions, they divide the market. Bid rigging is a crime that has serious consequences. Above all, it harms organizations that tender contracts by increasing their costs. When it targets public contracts, it amounts to a theft of taxpayer dollars that could otherwise be spent on important public needs. As a business owner or manager, you can take action to prevent employees from engaging in illegal behavior. Start by creating a culture of compliance in your organization. A big first step in creating this culture is to develop a compliance program. Here are several concrete moves you can make to develop a solid compliance program. Task a senior manager to be responsible for compliance. Take a long, hard look at your operations and any market conditions that might expose your company to risk. For example, if you bid for contracts through public or private tenders, make sure you have processes in place to avoid bid rigging. Prepare and distribute a detailed document that identifies do's and don'ts in the highest risk areas for your business. A do could be always use a certificate of independent bid determination in your submissions. A don't could be never meet with a competitor without first informing a superior. Update your business's code of conduct to cover bid rigging explicitly. Your code of conduct should also set out disciplinary measures for those employees who engage in illegal behavior. These measures may include termination of employment. If applicable, inform your business's lawyer about the program and the updated code of conduct. Make sure your employees understand their role in complying with the law. You can inform them in many ways. Email them about your updated code of conduct. Post a note to your company's intranet, if it has one. Host an all-staff meeting on recognizing and avoiding bid rigging. Include compliance awareness in your training for new and existing employees. Update your business's website to make public your code of conduct and, through it, your business's pledge to be ethical. These actions are just some of the moves your business can make to create a culture of compliance. Think about other actions that make sense for your business. If you are unsure of anything, consult the Competition Bureau's public resources and talk to your lawyer if you have one. If you think your business may be on the wrong side of the law, cooperating early on is a much better approach than the alternative, as Island Crew and Sunny Maintenance found out. Municipal officials noticed suspicious bidding practices from the two companies. The officials alerted the Competition Bureau. The Bureau investigated and discovered evidence that 2 recent contracts were subject to bid rotation agreements between Island Crew and Sunny Maintenance. Officials at Sunny Maintenance cooperated with the investigation and were granted leniency in sentencing. The Bureau recommended to federal prosecutors that charges be brought against both companies for violating the Competition Act. Both companies pleaded guilty. Island Crew was fined $200,000. Its sales representative received an 18-month prison sentence. Because Sunny Maintenance cooperated with the investigation, it received a reduced fine of $100,000. The company's sales representative was not charged. Stiff fines, prison sentences, criminal records, all because of a harmless cup of coffee.